huge variable component there, especially when our costs for water continue to skyrocket. So the sewer side is much more stable financially, if you will. Let's see. Oh, another benefit that we could be realized is this year we just kicked off a wastewater recycling study. And of course, we focused on the end or this portion of the city where we are responsible for that wastewater stream. But there's absolutely no reason why we couldn't look beyond that and what we're talking about is the feasibility of point-of-use type of treatment systems. For example, if a park is strategically located close enough to the bottom end of a collections system where you can siphon off a lot of the water component, treat it to the point where it can be used for irrigation, and hopefully in the long run have a win-win situation, because water resources are critical. And regionally right now, of course, we maximize our use of water recycling on a regional basis, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't be looking at potentials on a local basis either. So what would have to happen for the transition? Again, I apologize if you've already heard this from your staff, but you have in front of you the letter from January 14th from our board president, Bill Mills, saying we're here to serve the community. We're ready if you wish to transfer the system over. We believe we can provide a seamless transfer to the community. It would take a little bit of staff time still. There's financial issues that have to be explored. There's records and other things that have to be transferred along with that. Easements, for example, we'd have to find a way to make sure that easements dedicated to the city of Yorba Linda for maintenance of the sewer system would be transferable or somehow incorporated in that transfer. We have checked with LAFCO, and LAFCO has reported back. The executive director has also consulted with LAFCO counsel and said that this is not a LAFCO issue. Both agencies have the authority to provide the service. The service lies within the municipal sphere of influence. No LAFCO issue required, no LAFCO decision required. It's simply an agreement, a transfer of that asset between the two agencies. So we envision an agreement that would be drafted up jointly with city council and with district council for approval by this city council, legal council, for approval by the city council and for approval of our board. And we mentioned other things, that we would obviously, but staff is well aware of this. It would take a little bit of time still on staff level, but I don't think the public would see any difference out there in that as long as the sewage doesn't overflow when they flush their toilet, it goes away. I think they'll be happy. When they turn their faucet on, they get water, they're happy. So. One of the fortunate things for us as well is because obviously these are all water customers already, we would simply bill on their water bill. So their monthly service charge would appear, go ahead to the next slide, I think we've got a picture of it, on their water bill as a line item. The $550 or for commercial and single family residential, whatever that translates to, would appear on the monthly water bill. That gives this council an option. As I understand it, you have options in front of you, obviously, and that includes, once again, passing a resolution or ordinance that authorizes the tax collector to collect your yearly assessment for the sewer. You can save that money this year because assuming that the transfer occurs before your deadline, which is probably August, I think, because August. If the transfer occurs before August and you're comfortable and the public's comfortable, you don't have to collect that assessment this year. We could start collecting on the monthly bill. And of course, that would be after we do outreach and public information efforts and a Prop 218 hearing, of course, because what we're talking about, obviously, is raising the rates. One of the conditions about a year ago was that our board said, well, we want the city to have to go through that pain even if we take it over. But they've changed their mind on that because you've done a few things. You've hired a consultant that has done a cost of service study. They've given you, I believe, a basis for saying, here's what a certain level of service would cost to the community. here's what you can justifiably charge for that cost of service. That's already there. It's a public document. You have considered in public forum, raising rates and not raising rates. And I certainly understand with the economic condition, why that's been a concern or a problem. But Yorba Linda Water District has all of their customers to consider, and we couldn't subsidize the service on the east end or I'll say the east half at the cost of the rest of the citizens. So one thing is very certain in my mind, the board would, as soon as that asset is transferred, we would make sure that everything was in place so that the customers understand they would pay the rate that the rest of the Yorba Linda pays. I think that's it. Sorry for taking so much of your time.
Well, hang on one second there, Ken. Let's get the lights back on. There you go. I have a few questions for you. Some of these I think I'm going to catch you off guard, and I apologize for that. If you can't answer, I understand. Do you have any rough estimate of how long this process would take if, in fact, this council voted to go ahead with this? Now, you talked about easements and all the various things that you mentioned. Any idea how long that would take?
How busy is your legal counsel?
It depends on how much we want to pay her.
There, right. I think that this can be done very quickly, but
Here in 30 to 60 days, maybe.
That makes sense. I think realistically, you have a real opportunity to not have that tax assessment go on the tax bill this year.
Well, even if we don't make it, isn't it possible to contract with you guys, the water district, to bill for us anyway? Would you be willing to do that?
Bill for us?
Yeah, we don't have to go through the county.
The city of Placentia currently does collect part of their sewer fee on our water bill.
All right. So if we get jammed up on time, we still have a way around that, it sounds like, if we contract with you for that service.
That's certainly possible. I'd have to.
Like I said, I'm catching you off guard.
That's certainly possible. We do it for the city of Placentia.
All right. Our city staff, our professionals have told us that you can do this service cheaper than we can by contracting out. Do you agree with that assessment?
Could you repeat that? It sounded like you said we can do it cheaper than you by contracting out. Did you mean the other way around? You guys can do it cheaper by contracting out than. Sorry, go ahead and answer.
Our city engineer has told us that it would be cheaper, that you could do this more cost effectively